73 of the Zeens and Roger Crochet Vlogcast. I am Rosina, a crochet designer, and I am sat in my bedroom in a house somewhere in Devon, which is the southwest of the UK. You alright? I'm okay. I've hit record on this so many times, it's ridiculous, and each time I keep fluffing up the intro. It's not that hard. It's probably because I'm being distracted by frogging. I hope you're okay. Thank you for joining me. I hope you've got a project to work on whilst I blather on. I've just come back from a walk, so I'm a little bit puffed out, and also it's very grey. It's been raining. We've had several weeks of beautiful sunshine, and now today it's raining. It's grey and dark and miserable, and I've switched on the light thingy and it's a bit harsh. I am blinded by the light. The last couple of weeks have been hectic, to say the least, but not hectic in a crochet sort of way, just general life. So have I been doing much crochet? Not really, because what happens is you sit down to do some and then somebody goes, "Mummy, Mummy, he stole my thing. Mummy, he took that from me. Mummy, I've smashed my head open and it's bleeding everywhere. Mummy, the trampoline made me fall." Last week there was a moment where I did think, oh shit, I'm going to have to go to A&E. I can't remember what day it was now. Perhaps, I think I'd come back from work. I think it was a work day. So it was, I think it was either Wednesday or Thursday. And yeah, just got back in. And then the next thing I know, a small child wanders into the kitchen with a crying face, and I swoop them up in my arms to give them a cuddle because they've hurt themselves, without actually realising, until I've put them down after a cuddle, that their scalp has an excessive amount of blood in it. And I was just like, oh, for God's sake. I've just come from that place. I don't want to go back again. He was okay though. I sent a picture of it, of he had a nice cracked split head. His scalp had about a 2 centimetre, maybe 1 inch gash in it, but it wasn't massively deep, and it did stop bleeding quite quickly. Sorry, I don't know why I'm talking about this. And so I determined that it was okay. I sent a picture to my sister, she's a doctor, and I said, "Is this okay?" And she's like, "Yeah, as long as it's not bleeding, it should be okay." So I was like, I won't bother going back to work. I mean, I don't work in A&E, I work at the hospital, but it's just like, it feels like, I mean, I walk past A&E nearly every day that I'm at work, but anyway, crochet. I have been doing crochet. I'm also doing frogging. I may well have been doing more frogging than actual stitch making. But I have also been procuring yarn, and I've been procuring a lot of yarn. I don't care. I'll talk you through it because it's quite good. It's quite good. So currently frogging this. I literally, I think last episode, began the frogging process and then put it down and then didn't do any. So last night I started again, like as I sat there with my son whilst he was getting ready for bed, doing his ablutions. I just sat there waiting and started frogging again. I would like to, I've got, you know, I'm assigning this to another project already. What was I talking about? I don't know. I've been knitting. I've done some crochet, but not much. But what I have done is lovely, even if I do say so myself. And yes, what should I talk about first? Well, the first lot of yarn I got is basically lots of this, because I went and did a shop for essentials in Aldi, and I deemed that wool was also essential. So I got loads of it. Oh, I don't think I've brought it all up, you know. This is the sort of thing that I see other podcasters do, and it always looks mental to me. Like when they go and buy like massive quantities of yarn. Because I bought all of this. Ooh. It's like £1 a ball, and it's all right. Like acrylic double knit, it's perfectly alright for blankets, and I really like the colour combo. Would have been nice with a mustard to go in with that collection of colours. This basically is just going to sit in my cupboard until inspiration hits. I have no projects in mind for that other than that it's double knit. And it would make a good blanket or a good, perhaps a garment prototype for a design, or somebody else's pattern or something. I don't know. I decided, and I realised this in a sort of a confession when I joined the global hookup on Saturday, that I don't actually wear a lot of the garments that I make out of crochet. I have every intention to do so, but when it actually comes down to it, they always look homemade. They look like homemade jumpers, and I want the garments that I make out of crochet, I want people to look at them and go, wow, that's amazing. Where did you buy it? Or I don't know, I just don't, there's a difference, isn't there, between like a handmade looking thing and a shop, a machine knitted, I suppose, would be the shop things. And I want the crochet things I make to look top notch. And so far, usually it's my own fault when things look handmade, and it's because I choose the wrong yarn, or I choose a size that's probably too big. And it just never looks quite right, so I don't wear them. And I sort of said, you know, I hope I don't, well, I didn't say I hope I don't lead people down that path. If people assume that I go around wearing my handmade things all the time, then shawls, yes, absolutely, all the time. But the jumpers and things, no. And one of the things I realised was that not only, quite often I make them too big, but also it's Aran weight yarn, a lot of the stuff I make, because it's quick, and I choose speed over quality, and I think I'm going to change that. I want to make more double knit garments and more 4-ply garments, so maybe I can sort of come up with a prototype with that acrylic stuff with some DK. Did I say 4-ply and DK? I can't remember. And go from there, and stop making garments in chunkier wool, because I think that chunkiness, I think that's not me. So I like a chunky scarf, but not a chunky jumper. Something more delicate I think is required. I've got I'm going to do a test crochet for somebody with a double knit jumper, and I'm really looking forward to that. I need to finish off the Elysium cardigan, and then there was another jumper thingy I wanted to make that was, oh yes, that's in this bag. My next stash enhancement. This is a birthday present to myself, which is exactly the excuse I used 2 weeks ago when I bought the double knit yarn from Bird Street UK. It's my birthday soon, I should buy myself some wool. I'm going to say that stuff I bought last time, I'm going to put that on the business. That'll be like any money I've basically made from pattern sales. That's what bought the Bird Street double knit that I showed off last time. This, however, is pure birthday money. And this arrived just the other day. I was watching Claudia Crochet Luna podcast, and I knew already because she posted it on Instagram, that herself and Christy Glass from Christy Glass Knits, they are doing a crochet along starting on Friday, this Friday, 1st of May, for a jumper called the Acre Sweater that was featured in issue 31 of Pom Pom. And ordinarily I don't buy Pom Pom because it's like 12 quid or more, and usually the patterns are knitting patterns, not crochet patterns, and I don't want to spend a lot of money on lots of patterns I am not going to make. However, I wanted to make the Acre Sweater because I think it looks good, like really good, and so I've chosen these colours. But the original pattern, this is blowing out slightly because of this hideous light I've got on, but this is like a mint green and a rusty browny orange, not as bright as on screen, and this blue, which is probably true to colour. So that's my Acre Sweater colours. I think it's by, the design is by somebody called Judith Brand, if I can remember off the top of my head. I've ordered a hard copy of the magazine because I think I prefer to work from a hard copy for this pattern, because you download it as well when you buy a hard copy, so I've got that choice. But actually that was pretty wordy, is that pattern. I'm not sure, I haven't read through it in detail yet, but I'm not sure if Pom Pom tech edit crochet patterns to fit with other magazines, the actual crochet magazine pattern sort of formatting style. I think it might be slightly different, almost written as though for a knitter, because predominantly their audience is a bunch of knitters. And I might be wrong on that, and I'll know more when I actually make it. But it just seemed to be an awful lot of words for a jumper that is essentially 2 panels for a front and a back and 2 panels for sleeves. But I'm interested to see how it's constructed. It looks interesting, and I'll show you more. Maybe I'll like try and find a picture of it to put up, or certainly a link anyway in the show notes, which will be linked in the description box below, by the way. But yeah, the original pattern calls for Life in the Long Grass merino singles, but I went on their website and I couldn't see any for sale. And also this stuff's like £5 cheaper a skein, and for like 1, 2, 3, 4, I think 7 skeins, I've made myself, you know, a £35 saving by getting Malabrigo, which is still quite a pricey yarn, but just not as pricey. This is Malabrigo Makita, is the merino single for Malabrigo. I've never worked with a single before, I don't think, so that's another first. I've bought Vulcan, Water Green and Azul Profundo. I think it's going to be a good one, and it will help me in my dalliance with garments, learning a bit more about 4-ply crochet garments. Finish the Elysium sweater, cardigan. I must finish that, but I shall be finishing it off-piste rather than following the pattern, because I don't like the pattern and the way it's written. So I got that, and then for £15 a skein I also got these, which is Folkestone Harbour yarn, And this is 100% merino. I don't think it won't be superwash. It does not feel like superwash. And knowing Folkestone Harbour, as I do, ish, it won't be superwash, because the ethos behind this company is that it's natural wools, naturally dyed yarns for the most part. I think her name is Susie, and I've met her at Unravel, and she's got a garden where she's growing lots of plants that are specifically for her dyeing of wool, which I think is a fabulous idea. So she's growing like indigo plants and things like that in her garden. But Folkestone Harbour Yarn is the company, is the wool I used for the granny cowl that was on the front cover of Molly Makes magazine. So I feel like it's good to support another indie dyeing person, and also, you know, we've got a little bit of history there, so it feels quite nice to be able to buy from her. And plus that green is gorgeous. I don't know if you can tell in this light, this blinding light. And this is a really nice minty green, which I now have quite a lot of minty green. But it's going towards a design that I've got in my head that has a name, and I know what I'm going to do pretty much. It's just finding the time to do it, because at the moment I have got such a huge list of stuff I want to do and no flipping time to do it. But we'll get there, and I really hope that I don't keep seeing stuff that I just go, I really want to make that, and then just like bump that, whatever that is, to the top of the queue. Really need to focus and have some discipline. I am terrible, not very disciplined at all. My head is very easily turned. Got to stop it. I shall turn over a new leaf, because on Monday it is my 41st birthday, and this time last year I can remember absolutely bricking it, because I was like, oh my god, I'm going to be in my 40s, I don't like it, and genuinely being quite upset about it. And I can tell you now, a year later, that I really do not give a stuff. I don't care what a difference a year makes. It's been a funny old year, it really has. I've learnt so much, and there's things that I'd started to do to make some huge changes to try and sort of I don't know how to put it other than just to sort of like stop just sitting on my arse and like watching the world go by, I guess. And the timing couldn't be worse, because like literally we've had to cancel all these things that we never used to do, and I used to get so cross about. And partly it was my fault. But I just sort of made decisions to start doing stuff, like even simple things like go to a yoga class. I'd never done that before, and to somebody else they might be like, is that it? But to me it was huge, and it meant something. And then like it's cancelled. Or even things like a weekend away in Bristol, cancelled. We had a day trip to places that were like different, with things we'd never done before. We were starting to do booking, and then it's just like cancelled. Like, oh thanks, oh great. But I mean, this isn't gonna last forever, so you know, we could do those things again, that's fine. But I think I spent like up until 40 fretting a bit too much, and then like the last year I've realised that actually, do you know what, yeah. Stuff happens. I'm trying not to swear. In my head you have to translate all the words like flip and stuff to different things. I was leading on to a point about wool, I'm sure, as well. but whatever that point is, it's gone. Started knitting. Did some knitting. Do you want to see that first? Oh no, I still haven't shown you all my wool. I've got more. So that's not all my new purchases. So I've got the Aldi cheap stuff. I've got my Posh Folkestone and my Malabrigo, and then I've got a new idea for another design as well. But this one is going to be a summer design, so I'm not going to start making it anytime soon. I'm not allowed. But boy, does this feel delicious. It feels really nice. It's a bit smutty, isn't it? This is King Cole Embrace, and wowzers, it's so soft and fluffy, it's ridiculous. This shade is Ruby. Can't see the makeup of it. 60% nylon, 40% premium acrylic, so it's not like a natural wool or anything like that. It is man-made fibres, but boy, that's well nice. You can't really see. Let's see if I can find the end for you. Oh, the label's stuck to the wall. Don't you hate it when that happens? Sometimes it does. I wonder if I can find an end. Come on, where would you be? The trouble with fluffy stuff is it's really hard to find things like ends. It should be in one of the holes. Now you can see that, can't you? That's halo to the extreme, right? So I've got a project for this. It's the shawl, and all I want to say is that it's going to be big. So I've got 7 balls, all in ruby red, and it's for summer. I want to release this in the late summer, so I feel like I've got plenty of time. But it feels real good. It's the sort of thing that I'm like, oh, I could crack that. I could crack that. Crack on with that in no time. But no, I mustn't, because I've got other things to do. Namely getting a tangle with this as well. Like, I can't remember having sewn in ends, but I must have done. Where are we? So I've talked about that, talked about that, talked about that. So, oh, well, I've talked about all my new stuff, but not talked about what I'm working on yet. Another red project. I didn't know I was a red person. I don't know why I'm making lots of red things. This is this stuff. It's Lopi. Alafos Lopi. I think it's a chunky, but it's not a chunky. It's 100 meters to 100 grams. It's proper woolly wool. It's even got a crunch on it when you squish it. Absolutely, totally 100% on the opposite end of the spectrum to that Embrace stuff. It's going to be a jumper for the autumn, but I figured I may as well start it now, because I've been hankering after a bit of knitting, and so I've started. Not much. Knit 1, purl 1 for 8 rows, and then just some stockinette. On 6mm needles. I have no idea what I'm doing. I've made it up, which is stupid. I cast on 69 stitches. So I knit 1, purl 1, knit 1, purl 1, end on a knit, and then the next row I'll purl 1, knit 1, purl 1 for the ribbing. And then I'm just going to knit it until it's a length that will fit my back, and then I'll do the front but do some neck shaping. Trying to kind of use the skills I picked up on the Acre Sweater that I made last year, Why I am not following a pattern is beyond me because I really should. And I don't actually know if 69 stitches is going to cut it. If I stretch that band, like at the bottom, across my hips, even sat down, it fits. Like I can stretch it without like it being stressed, or I can't, there's no sort of, it's not like being forced across. So that's a positive sign, right? But I don't know how you can tell if something's going to fit if you're working from the top down, top up. I wasn't brave enough to do a top down sweater. I found a few free patterns for them, but I was just like, do you know, I'm just going to stick to what I know for now, and that is working from the bottom up, doing a panel. I can't remember if you shape for the, when you get to the sort of underarm, if you bring it in or not. We'll find out. And then, but yeah, essentially I saw a picture of Fleabag, you know, Phoebe Waller-Bridge did Fleabag on as a stage production, and in that stage production she wears a red jumper, and so I thought, oh, I want a red jumper. I was going to start doing it then, and I'm knitting continental with my pearls, so hence the yarn I hold in my my left hand, but when I knit I just do traditional English style, and I quite like changing it. It gives my hands a rest between the stitches, and I've mentioned that before, so I've not done too badly. I quite like it. I like knitting, but if I were to like drop any of these stitches, if they were to fall off a needle, I'd poo my pants and wouldn't know what to do. Other than that, like lower down, I'd probably sort of Google how to do a lifeline again, because I've forgotten how it goes, and just like rescue it from wherever it was I'd lost it. Or like I have before got to this stage and frogged something because I've dropped stitches and not really known how to pick them up. That's what scares me about knitting, and why I probably don't sort of embark on it more, because if those stitches are off this needle, I don't recognise how they go back on. I twist things when I just think, oh, they'll probably go like this. It ends up twisted too tight, back to front, la-di-da-di-da. And then, why have you... I just want to unravel you. Why are you being so stubborn? I was going to talk about this whip a little bit, but actually I haven't got much further on. I know somebody was asking me, where was I last time? I've done a bit more because I think I was about here. So I have done... I have done that much. And I'm now at the point where I've just started to decrease, but not very much. And actually, I've got a funny feeling that it's not going to work, because if you hold it up, that should be a point at the bottom, and it ain't. This is the Stop, Drop and Pop shawl scarfy thing by the Crochet Project. I just don't get on with their patterns at all. I love their designs. They are stunning and beautiful and really fantastic examples of what crochet can be, especially with the garments. But every time I try and make one of their patterns, there's always a stumbling block, and I don't know why. And in this case, I've sort of given up because I can see that there should be a point, and I should be now decreasing at an angle. I'm not, am I? And do you know what? I had a message from somebody after last episode saying, oh, you're making this, oh, it was on Instagram, oh, you're making that short. I made that short and I frogged it because my decreases didn't match the angle of the increases, so they frogged it. I'm tempted to do the same. I don't know whether I should persevere or not. Sort of like my curiosity has now been killed because I've seen what the pops look like. I know what it's like now. So I'm ready to let it go. Like, I've had my fill. I might just frog it. What do you reckon? Is it wrong? Should I try harder? I might just sort of do like maybe 6 rows. That should give me enough of an amount I can see whether or not it's actually gonna. Because I love that. I love the edging on this. It looks beautiful. But don't you just hate it when you get really excited about a pattern and it just doesn't go the way you think it's going to? Just doesn't turn out quite like it did in your head. Just rip it back. Don't know. Anyway, something more exciting has happened. Bye-bye! I could use this as a cowl, but it's not. Oh, I could though. I wouldn't, but I could. Now I'm going to make it back. I just like all the colours all the way around. I really like it. It's well jazzy. So I shall sew up its bottom along there, just sort of like easy stitches sewn, and then I shall put in a zip probably. Or will I? I might venture upon zipland with this one and have it as a, I don't know, a little bag. But I decided that actually I wanted, because originally I wanted one with handles, and I thought I'd done some like correct measurements and this would be big enough to have handles, but actually I think the handles I've got, this bag is just too diddy. So I've made another one without sewing it together yet. Like, just a random, this is just like stash busting stuff, so it's not like loads in it. So I will use this long green thread to sew the ends together. So this bag is slightly bigger. Still though, still don't think it's big enough for my handles, so I can't be asked to make a third one. I don't think the length, there's not much in it. Length. See, it's that much longer. Beep, boop, beep. And yeah. So it is a bit bigger. I finished this last night, which is why it's not sewn together. It is, I used the Zally zigzag pattern from Meet Me at Mike's, which is a blanket pattern, but I did so for the small version I chained 67, and for the big version I chained 84. I used a 3.75mm hook and followed Pip's pattern. There's a tutorial on her website, which is like a good few years old now, but I mean, and also I could well block it out and make it a bit bigger. Why do I keep doing that? I've done that 3 times so far, haven't I? Habit, that is, bad habit. I like this. I like how the colours make me feel. I think that's probably, I could probably use the handles I've got for that. I think that's probably just about big enough to have the handles on it. But basically I wanted it to be the same size as my Hodgepodge Granny and my Hodgepodge C2C. This could be my Hodgepodge Zigzag, Hodgepodge Chevron. And I crocheted over the ends as I went, so I didn't even have to sew them in afterwards, which was great. I just snipped them where I'd left them. So that's a work in progress. The jumper is a work in progress. The shawl is a work in progress that I haven't done much on. And I have got a shed load of other whips, like ridiculous amounts, and nothing actually finished. What about you? What are you working on? Are you finding... I should probably give myself some sort of mission where I have to finish all my whips. I especially need to finish Encanto by Claudia. Because as a pattern I really like it. I just don't like the hook I'm using it, working on it with. It's too lightweight. I like a solid weighty hook, I think. But I know everybody's different, aren't they? So somebody else might like a lighter weight hook. Not me. I like to feel it in my hand. So I just did like a really pervy. I don't know where that came from. So if we talked about everything, yes we have. Oh, it's my birthday on Monday. Have I mentioned? I thought that was the washing machine and I was just like, I haven't got any washing. There's a helicopter going overhead, but sometimes the washing machine makes an almighty racket that sounds just like a helicopter. I don't have a pen to write things down with, but what was I going to write anyway? Don't know. I thought, because it's my birthday next week, I would do a Ravelry and Etsy sale on all the patterns and on those two places. So if you fancy a 20% discount, I will have that running until the 4th of May. Probably like GMT midnight, right? No, we're on BST, aren't we? British summertime at midnight on May the 4th. Up until that point, there will be a 20% discount on all my patterns to celebrate the fact that I'm 41. Yeah. And then, so basically, if you're watching after that, I'm terribly sorry. The early bird catches the worm. Give me a thumbs down for that if you like. Oh my god. I've been sat on my leg for far too long. I think that's it. I think I'm done. Don't know. What time is it? I think it's probably nearly 4 o'clock. I'm very late today with this. Normally you've started editing already. What's everybody doing about their lockdown hair? I'm desperate. I think I might end up doing that scissor trick. Especially with my fringe. I was thinking about cutting a fringe back in, but I daren't. I don't want one of those. It's too harsh. Anyway, so for this month, my patrons got a free copy of the Forager's Shawl that I released last week. The month before, they were offered the opportunity to test a different design of mine. For this month, I don't know. I've got a couple of weeks to think about it before I do another treat for patrons. There'll be a link below for that if you're interested. But I am trying to do, I haven't said before, but I think maybe at least once a month I should do a special treat for patrons. I'm just trying to think what would be a good one for this month. I might do a code for, I could do a code for 41% for patrons if they wanted to get a bigger discount on the old pattern sale. Maybe I'll do that. Can't think what else. that's it, I think. I've run out of stuff. Surprisingly though, like I thought like it's you never quite. I went out for a walk, as I said, and on my walk I bumped into my friend, like my bestie, and we had a good old catch up. I haven't seen her in weeks, so it was nice to just stand 2 meters apart and have a chat. We talked for ages actually. It was really nice. And then yesterday I had a 40-minute FaceTime with one of my mates. He was doing all right. I haven't spoken to him for ages either, so it's nice to catch up with him. But I was rather bemused by the FaceTime thing. So why do people have to do FaceTime now? Especially if it's just one-on-one. I could just like literally phone you. I'm happy to hear your voice. I don't need to see your face or half the ceiling for the most part. I find it ever so bizarre. I hope that's not because I'm getting old. Just like don't think that moving with the times with Zoom. I've like half my job at the minute is interviewing people on Zoom all day, so actually I don't want to do FaceTime out of work. Yeah, and had a good old catch up with some crochet peeps on Saturday night on the global hookup. As I said, did I mention that earlier? I can't remember. But I did leave. I did leave it earlier than I thought I would. I was absolutely knackered and a bit grumpy. So I sort of probably abruptly left. I didn't even say goodbye and I felt a bit guilty. But sometimes it's really hard to go, right, actually I'm gonna duck out now. Yeah, bye, and like disrupt the conversation. So sometimes it's just easy just to sneak off and leave. So yeah. But other than that, no, I haven't really been up to much, because what can you do? She says, looking at herself, staring. Right, I'm off ski. I will see you again next time. Hope you're alright. See you again. Bye.